This is Professor Judah, and I am excited about the opportunity to share with you a theory that I have. And the name of this theory is called the 777 million to 1. It concerns the greatness of God within you throughout the birth process. It's a very, very interesting concept. So if you have a minute, sit back and enjoy the theory of the 777 million to 1. I think you'll like it. In many of the video presentations, you will hear me make reference to the term 777 million to 1. I always try to demonstrate the qualities that a human being has in relation to his greatness in God. If you want to understand how great you are in God, you have to look at the challenge that God presented in the race for life. Notice, scientists will tell you that the sperm count from one male ejaculation is anywhere from 777 million cells or more. 777 million actually represents infinity. Scientists will, anything that looks like it's beyond that number, they don't usually count it anymore. So you can actually talk about maybe a billion sperm cells that actually break up and they actually race for the one egg. Now, just look at this race. Let's say you were in this race. You're here. This is you. You are here. I like that. You are here. This is the egg on the uterus wall. I'm not a scientist. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but that's the egg. These are all the sperm cells that have broken down and have taken part in this race. These are all the potential possibilities of the life form that can achieve godship in the egg. 777 million sperms to 1. Only one can get life. This is the race. You're here. Only one can get life. Now, why would God set something like this up? It appears to me that a lot of individuals wants to be like God. You know, you say, I want to be created in your image. God says, I created you in my image and in my likeness. It says this in Genesis 1. It says this in Genesis 1, 26 and 27. I created man in my image and likeness. In order to be created in the image of God, you have to defeat this army and get to this egg. And when you get to this egg, you have to dig in the egg. So I find it unique how God has set this race up. There's a race for life. That's why I call it the 777 million to 1. You see, when I look at a baby, I understand that a baby demonstrated that he's a master. So you may think that a baby is laying there, oh, look at the baby, you know, he's so cute and defenseless. And no, the baby demonstrated his superiority already by winning this race in order to be in conception, the conception stages. In order to reach the embryo stage, he demonstrated his superiority. Not only was he a fast swimmer, but he had to be an extremely strong digger. That's why I always make references to the 77 million to 1 to demonstrate an individual's greatness in God before they even come to the earth to represent God in his image as a human being. What God is looking for is the one single cell that utilizes all of his qualities to actually be created in his image as an embryo. To start the process as an embryo. That's what I love about this theory that God has given me as a revelation. The 777 million to 1. You see, if you think you have problems now, you got 5 or 6 problems, maybe your mortgage, your job, your husband, your kids, it may be a drug problem, financial issues, you know, domestic issues, professional issues, career issues, whatever the problem is, religious issues, spiritual issues, God already gave you these problems. He already gave you these problems. You see, you demonstrated to God that you was able to deal with 777 million problems. So when you have 5 or 6 problems, God look at you now like, well, how did you beat these problems? You beat all of these problems. These were 777 million problems. You beat all of these problems by demonstrating your ability to use every single quality of God. And that's exactly what God was looking for. That's why the reward inside the egg is only one can succeed. God is looking for the one who has all the qualities that he gives him and utilize these qualities to succeed in everything he's trying to do. Or I don't know if people hear me. If you look at this analogy and you remember the 777 million to 1, then think about all the problems you think you have. And remember, you have already demonstrated to God that you was a master when you tried to come to this earth for life. People will look at a defenseless baby laying there and not realize that there are stories where babies, fall out of the window. I don't know how they fall out. How does a baby fall out of the window? I don't know. But there are stories where the baby falls out of the window, God forbid, and lives. That's God protecting that baby. You see, but remember, before the baby actually came into existence, the baby was in a race to demonstrate the masterful qualities of God. So if you want to know how powerful you are in God, you have to really, really go inside yourself and understand that before you got here, you already had a bunch of problems. These were problems. Each one of these beings had the potential to become an embryo. You demonstrated that you were the master. Every single quality of God you use to defeat your problems to become a master. And one of the reasons why I'm posting this video online is to show other individuals that while you think you may be facing a problem right now, if you trust God, remember God is the best part of you. That's the part that got you here. That's how you got here. You see, even if you have AIDS, AIDS was a problem. Because remember, each one of these cells face death if they are not successful. So death, in effect, was a problem for you. Because if you're not successful, you face death. He who is not successful in this journey face death. Now ask any scientist, because this is the scientific breakdown of the birth concept. And I like this birth concept because it demonstrates the greatness of God in man. So when you crying about a few problems that you have, 5, 6 problems, money problems, whatever it is, I don't care what it is. Because of the nature that you have in you of God, the superiorness of God that exists in you that you demonstrated before you got here, whatever the problem is, I don't care what the problem is. I don't care if it's drugs, AIDS, financial problems, parental problems, child problems, whatever the problem is, you already had 777 million problems getting here. Just remember that when you say, oh, I have a problem. How many problems you got now? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8? God looking at you like, well, I gave you 777 million problems before you even became a baby. Look at the birth process. The birth process was established for you to demonstrate the superiorness of me within you. I'm showing you that when I say in my word, the Bible, that the kingdom of myself is in you, you demonstrate my kingdom in you because you utilize all the tools that I instilled in you. You beat out 777 million problems. As God Almighty, I'm sure God is saying that you as man, created in his image, can't think of another problem that he left outside of the 777 million that he challenged you with to become created in his image. Now, I don't know if I'm screaming on this video, but I'm very excited about this. Because this is going to be my first video that I'm putting online. This is Professor Judah. But I'm having fun. Because God has been teaching me this, and for a minute I'm holding on to this, and God was like, I'm teaching this for you to teach others. So that others will see that despite the problems that they're facing, the way I arranged their existence, they already demonstrated to me that they have every supreme quality of me within them. If not, you would have been one of the 777 million who faced defeat in the birth process. So if you ever think that you can't do something, I don't care what it is, you better think about the birth process and the challenge that God put before you to be created in His image. Because He said, I created man in my image and in my likeness. He actually said, let us create man in our image. So you think you can be created in the image of God with something like slack. You think God creates something that's not perfect. God looks at His creation and says it's perfect. And in order to be created in the image of God, you have to demonstrate perfection in order to win this race. So when anybody comes to you and start talking about, oh, we're all imperfect, you better think about this race and start thinking about the perfectness of Himself that God placed within you. And somebody starts saying, well, you can't. You let them know that can't is not in your dictionary. Because there's 777 million reasons why you can. This is Professor Judah, edifying, enlightening, empowering, and encouraging the children of God, those who worship Him in spirit and in truth. It is time for you to come into full knowledge of who you are. In the race of life, when it comes to God, you have to always be here. And in order to be here, you have to put the supreme God first within you. I don't care what religion it is you dressing it up with. I don't care what dressing you putting on the salad of God. God is still the salad. So you can put a Muslim dress on it, you can put a Christian dress on it, you can put a Buddhist dress on it, or you can put a Confucius dress on it of Himself within you. And you demonstrated that to God before you came to life and start picking religions. Before you decide to come out and say, I'm a Muslim, or I'm a this, and I'm a that, you had to first demonstrate that you was superior in God. You had to demonstrate that you were superior in the essence of God, utilizing all the tools of God, understanding the nature of God. That is the only way that you can beat 777 million problems to come into the existence and be created in the image of God. I am so glad to be able to share this with my brothers and sisters as my first video. I'm going to have several other videos. I'm just using this one here because a lot of my other videos is going to be based on this theory. I can't hold this knowledge back any further. God has put this down in my spirit, and He said, you must share this with the children of God. A lot of them are having problems. They're not understanding who they are. And if they understand who they are, they will understand that anything that they need, I already instilled it inside them. You see, you had 777 million problems. So you needed a tool from God to beat out each and every problem. So God says, okay, well, I will give you every problem. I will give you an answer and a solution to every problem that you will possibly face in being created in the image of me. But also remember, the other ones in existence in the race will also have these tools to utilize against you. It is only when you totally submit to the superiority of me within you that you will be able to defeat all those around you and become created in the image of my likeness. Oh, I can't drill this point home any further. You are here. And the only way to come close to God, to stay out in the front, is always put God in the front. That's how you beat your problems. You see, the problem is people got God in the back. And when you got God in the back, you in the back with everybody else. But if you have God in the front, God will keep you out in the front. And trust me, any challenge that you face in front of you. You see, and I use the egg here as an example, but you have to see this egg as anything that you want to achieve and desire in life. That's my major point here that I like to really make. You see, I can use the egg as an analogy in the sperms. But I like to use this race for life. You see, I'm trying to show you that if you stay within God, or as the Bible says, seek the kingdom first. People don't realize that in order to beat the race of